Everyone to the Pom and Fazz football show, or specifically the EPL show, or the Prem, if you are a cultured individual like myself. As always, I am the Pom, and for it to be the Pom and Fazz show, that would mean that there is a mitt, as the Germans would say, and my mitt is Mr. Fazz. How are you doing?
Good, mate. Good, mate. Look, we can talk all world football if you want. All perversions are welcome here, that's for sure. But specifically EPL to start with. But if anyone wants to talk about the world game, we're off that egg ball stuff. That's done. We don't even care about that anymore. It's all about the round ball. So really looking forward to this one.
Big Adrian's in chat. G'day to you. Lockie Jack, I haven't got round to watching it, but I did see the tag, so I will give it a watch when I have my bath at the end of this and I peruse over my fantasy team, as I always do. Last week, it has to be said, Fazz got 8 out of 9. Fazz near perfect. The only one letting him down from memory was the Chelsea game. So let's get straight into it because Fazz can't wait to get it. But as you can see, my amazing lead has been whittled away like a cow in second quarter in a final. Fazz has pegged me back and Cam, I hold on. But we start with, obviously, probably the surprise. I say the surprise, Fazz. You called this one. You actually got the perfect score here as well, it has to be said, which incidentally Fazz had 2 perfect scores, the first 2 perfect scores of the year. But Fazz, this game was probably, as the scoreboard suggests, absolutely close, wasn't it? It was even.
Mate, you can't wipe the smile off my face. I knew I was in for a good one after the second game, but no, look, 0-0. Usually people say 0-0 is boring, whatever. But this is Hodgson. I said that I like what Palace are doing. That they're keeping that clean sheet. They're actually putting together quite an exciting season. So happy days for both Palace and Fulham. Fulham will probably feel a little bit more disappointed to not get the result, but I think if you, at the moment, as the season goes on, if you offer a few teams a point away to Palace, you might be keen on taking it.
Mate, I agree. And Chills nails it. Yellow and egg shape, pick the fucker up. Adrian, I wish it was grand final you come 10. That will come soon. But I agree, Fazz. Like Fulham had the best chances. Good day to Amy in this one. But I agree. Crystal Palace, even though Hodgson's been a bit unwell recently, they've still got that Hodgson mentality where they are really, really tough. So I agree with you. I think Selhurst Park, tough place to get points, and Fulham will probably be happy with that point.
Yeah. Look, it is the easy out, isn't it? Oh, away points. Yeah, you're always taking away point. But I think they'll return home pretty annoyed they didn't get all 3. But on face value, you say, the away point.
And then we go to this game, and I was looking at this, right? And this was like, at this point in the world, Fazz had 2 perfect scores. I was like, Fazz has come back from the future and nailed it. This game had everything. It had a bizarre sending off out of nowhere. And after that sending off, the game changed. It massively changed. Bellegarde got sent off just towards the end of halftime. But after that, Luton came alive. And Fazz, you did say, going to that ground, it's going to be tough. And the Kenilworth Road crowd, they got up and about. And tell you what, Luton were unlucky not to win this. They had chances late.
Yeah, look, self-indulgent. It was about this point where I thought, geez, I'm going to have a good round of tipping when I got this one exactly right. Look, Kenilworth Road, I don't want to be disrespectful because obviously that's people's homes. You know, that's where people spend their hard-earned money to go every other week. But it's a horrible place to go as an away team, and that's a fact. And credit to the Luton fans. And I do recall saying in our preview show to the Luton fans, celebrate every game like it's your last game on earth, because they're probably going to get relegated, and that's fine. You never know when you're going to be back again. Celebrate it like it's your last game on earth. And I feel like those fans are doing that. And the more they do that, yeah, they were stiff not to win this one. They'll win a game. They'll win a couple of games for sure. Just by that home crowd advantage and the fact that it is a horrible place to go. Wolves down to 10 men, got in front. Again, similar to Fulham, they're probably going away saying we're down to 10, probably happy with the point. But when you go 1-0 up against a team that you're fighting relegation with, Wolves will be pretty disappointed. But yeah, I think the story is Luton. The story has to be Luton and their fans for sure.
Could be. I've got to say, Fazz, I've been to Kenilworth Road, and when you go in the away section, you actually go above a communal garden, which isn't really a garden, it's concrete. And I had a guy smoking a doobie there say, fuck off, what you looking at, you northern monkey. So I wish nothing but fucking misery on Luton, to be honest. But I have to say, Fazz, you nailed your prediction. And I actually think that this could be one of them games that when we do the relegation, this is going to be, to use the old cliche, an important point for either side, because Wolves could have lost this going down to 10 men, but Luton should have lost this. So it could be one of them that, when it gets tight, this could be the point that keeps them up.
Absolutely. And you look at the Wolves and they're saying, 6 games in, we're 3 points clear of relegation, which is kind of where you're trying to keep that distance. You're right. This will be a game we look back on, but yeah, I know you wish. I know you've had a bad experience there. I know what it's like to support a lower ranked team, and I hope they do well. I think they'll go down, but I mean, I watched. I know, but I watched West Ham versus Lincoln City yesterday morning in the Carabao Cup, and there's something nice about these grounds. There's just something nice, something wholesome about these real small boutique. It's proper football. You know what I mean? Like it's nostalgia really when you watch it. And so when I watch Luton, I just get warm and fuzzy, and I look at these grounds, and yeah, it's not sterile. It's not sterile
It's got a historic fact. I mean, how many other places can you miss a shot from 6 yards out and put it through someone's bedroom window? I mean, it's that. I agree with Adrian. It's going to be interesting when City go there. What an experience. But we move on to City, and City, they went a man down. Moment of chaos. Probably my favorite thing about football, right, is that at the end of the game, they get interviewed straight away. So they don't have time to think. And Pep Guardiola's interview here is probably the best interview you've ever heard, because he goes at halftime, he said, they're going to come at you and annoy you. Just don't lose your heads. And 57 seconds later, Rodri decides to choke slam Gibbs White in the corner flag for no reason whatsoever. But they showed how good they are. 14 minutes of chaos at the start. City had done their job, as they've often done this year. They are, Adrian said it earlier, it's who's finishing second to City. And even 10 men, they did this with ease.
Professional. That's the way I describe this win, other than the red card, which was anything but professional. But it's a professional win. I feel like this is probably the most professional I've seen Manchester City. They're not. How do we describe it? They're not playing with their food before they eat it. They're just getting the job done, getting out, and you know what I mean. Like they're. I love what they're doing. They're getting the work done early, then holding back on it. And I think that's a very deliberate move, because I think they're going for Champions League. They want to win the Champions League. That's so I feel like they're thinking, get out of the game, get out the blocks early, get a 2-goal lead, sit back, conserve energy, Carabao Cup knocked out of that. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. We'll see. But I think it was just a truly professional performance from them. Forest can be thankful that it was just 2-0, to be honest.
Oh, I mean, it could have been a lot more. It could have been a lot more, and I think the red card did change the game from a City perspective because it gave that little bit of hope. And Notts Forest, I felt, and we'll talk about this a bit more later, Notts Forest annoyed me in this game because when the red card went and the game was chased, they started to play that type of football like you can maybe ask the question marks on City. They went long, they went to the wings, they tried to break them down. But that first half, it almost like they were trying not to lose. And when you try not to lose to City, it could be 10, 15, 30-0.
Yeah. The moment it sounds really bizarre, but the moment you go and try not to lose, you've already lost. I look at West Ham playing them a couple of weeks ago, and the way you beat City is you've got to come out of the blocks, you've got to score, and hope that Haaland's having an off game, or they're hitting crossbars, and that's the only way you can beat them. If you try and defend, you're gone. It's game over. So it's a bit of luck against City.
It is indeed, and then we came to probably the shock of the round. Everton away from home. They look dead and buried. It has to be said that since Dominic Calvert-Lewin has come in, having that target man seemed to really help them out. Calvert-Lewin finally returning to proper football, this time off the bench. But when he was introduced in the hour mark, Brentford were coming hard. They had that outlet ball. 2 goals from set pieces, as you'd expect from Everton, proper Daesh football, and an important 3 points for Everton, who probably 6 weeks ago looked dead and buried.
It's amazing how quickly it can change. How many times I have to say Shaun Dux? I love Shaun Dux. He's just waiting. Calvert-Lewin will determine whether this team stays up or goes down. Whether or not it's by goals or whatever, it's by just having that target man, that focal point. We know they're going to be set up really well defensively. We know they're going to be hard to break down. We've tried to see that. To me, should they survive, which, hey, I mean, why not? You're going to look at this game and say Brentford away, that's a huge win. Without thinking about it too much, I'm going to say it's probably 6 games in, almost the win of the season, to be honest. I think it's an incredible win, all things considered.
Brentford, are they in a bit of strife? Do you know what I mean? They've lost their mojo the last couple of weeks, haven't they? They really feel like ever since they had that disappointing loss a couple of weeks ago, really feels like Brentford have just lost that mojo a little bit. And with the talk that January Tony's as good as gone, that Wissa combination and Mbamo doesn't feel like it's bearing fruit like it did at the start.
No, I feel like Brentford are a bit of the opposite to Liverpool in regards to we're kind of not really paying attention to them, but they could be in bang trouble. In Liverpool, the opposite being we're not paying attention to them and they're actually flying. Brentford, they're kind of the forgotten player at the moment in regards to a relegation scrap. And you look at some of their results. I mean, the 2-2 to Bournemouth really sticks out. And then this one is just a horrendous result. And with matches to come, they've obviously knocked out of the cup now, which is probably a good thing for them. I don't know. I think you're right. They're a watch this space. I think they're a bit of okay, let's just give them a couple more weeks. But if we're getting to middle end of October and they're in that bottom 6 range, they'll need to spend, I think.
It's going to be an interesting time. It'd be an interesting time. And you've all been taking the piss out of Man United in the chat. We come on to them. Fuck me. This is one of them games that I look at and go, why the fuck did I get up at 4 a.m. for this shit? What a bizarre game from United. If you told me 5 years ago that I would be watching United and Johnny Evans would arguably be our best player, I'd be like, what, for Man United? Is he back? A 1-0 scratchy win. And you know what? I'm going to be really harsh here because I know United fans have got up in the belt that we've beaten Burnley away at Old Trafford 1-0. But if Burnley were any good, this wasn't a win. Do you know what I mean? This wasn't a win. And I have never seen a United side so reluctant to attack against Burnley. I had to remind myself Burnley are pants while I was watching this game. United, for me, we talked about Burnley losing their mojo. This is the kind of game that if this was Everton, we'd be like, brilliant. But this is Manchester United.
Yeah. Look, my first thought was, told you, mate. I told you. Back him in. I tipped him. You laughed at me. I tipped him. They got up. But you're bang on. I've been speaking about how poor Burnley are and that they can't possibly play that way in the Premier League. And they've proven it again. United was sitting back. Manchester United was sitting back and Burnley's playing, and Burnley still lost. So this game, I don't think you can't read anything into either team. I don't think. I still think Burnley are absolute gash, and United got the 3 points they get away with it. And to be honest, as much as we are, slagging off United, they are only 5 points out of the top five or top four. Sorry, 5 points out of the top four. That can change very quickly. Would this game give me confidence? Absolutely not. But I'm telling you now, it's another nail in the Burnley coffin. And I'm going to be, because I not one for self-praise or whatever, but gee whiz, in the preseason when I said Burnley are going straight back down, and everyone said, no, they'll finish mid-table. Look, Company, look at the football they play. Nah, mate. This is another nail in that coffin and good riddance if they go down because you cannot play that football in the Premier League coming straight up.
Mate, I will say what won us that game, Fazz has nailed it, was the fact that they are obsessed with passing between their centre-backs. So 28 minutes is killed with them just passing it around their two centre-backs and their goalkeeper. If they remembered they were Burnley bottom four, that could have been 3-1 Burnley.
Mate, get a big boy up front, put it on his head. It's not that hard to do. And for anyone who follows the Championship, check out Southampton. They're doing the exact same thing and they're going nowhere fast. They're just playing possession football. They got dicked by Ipswich the other day, just playing possession football. It does not work. And I'm not going to steal your thunder because we'll get to that soon. But geez, 3 points to United. You move on. You're not going to rewatch any part of it. And hopefully the confidence builds for next week.
Spawn, and then we come on to the game of the round. This was probably the most fun I've had watching football since the late 90s. It was a proper game. You've got Arsenal's tiki-taka pseudo style versus Ange, who is a breath of fresh air. Play the ball out the back and then punt it wide to your Kuvacheski, your Son, your Johnson, and try and cause chaos. 2 chaotic goals from Spurs as well. Chaos-type goals. This game could have been any winner as well. Anyone could have won this. Credit to Spurs, though. They were phenomenal. Arsenal looked like they were going to romp home with that own goal, and it looked like it was a matter of time. But once Son scored, they found it, didn't they? And both sides had chances to win it.
Tasty. That's the only word I can describe this game. It was tasty. I could rewatch this game over and over and over again. Both sides will be devastated to have lost this game, but both sides should be stoked they got the point. It is one of those bizarre games, those real bizarre games where if I was a manager, I actually don't know how I would address it, to be honest, because it's like, shit, both teams probably should have won it. But fuck, you were lucky to get away with it. And so by that logic alone, I'm going to go with just Tottenham because it's away from home. They're probably going to be slightly happier because, away from home against Arsenal, who were meant to go the next step this season, meant to be, going for the league. Tottenham getting that point, I think it's huge. And Ange just continues to go. I still completely agree with Terry, what he said.
You just know, don't you? You just know.
Edge, he'll be hanging on by a thread. But yeah, and of course, and look, Spurs fans acting like they won it. Absolutely. You're forgetting Arsenal probably in all rights should have been league champions last season, if not for the choke. And Spurs sacking their manager, losing their captain and their best player. The turnaround they've had, I think, I don't blame the Spurs fans for getting up and about this, because it's a derby for one, away from home. I mean, it's a bloody good game. But I wouldn't stress too much if I was Arsenal. I wouldn't stress too much if I was Spurs. You just keep going. And they've got games coming up. And you're going to be a brave person to tip against either of them in the future at the moment.
Both playing great football, aren't they? And I mean, it has to be said. You look at Arsenal, you look at Spurs. It hasn't been a happy game for Spurs of recent years. Do you know what I mean? It's been tragic. Let's be honest, especially at Arsenal's ground. They're a breath of fresh air for me. And I agree with Chris. I do think at times they looked a bit imbalanced. I thought, you know where I think this game is lost, and Fazz is going to hate me because I'm going to mention him, right? But I actually thought the Declan Rice coming off at halftime versus Sissoko and Sarr, big-bodied midfielders that bully you, and bringing on Jorginho. And Jorginho made the mistake for the second. Fuck knows what Jorginho was doing. He put the controller down and told his wife to shut the front door. I have no idea why that sub. I watched that sub and I was like, Arteta fucking lost his mind here. And I felt after that, Sarr and Bissouma bossed that midfield.
Well, I think I do agree with you. The sub was bizarre and a bit of a watch this space because, again, it's easy to be sold as the hero and the savior when things are going well, but just some words coming out of Arteta's mouth at the moment, it's a bit of a watch this space. You've got the issues with Raya and Ramsdale at the moment. Straight after the game, they asked him about the sub about Declan Rice. Now, a proper manager would just brush it off and say, yeah, whatever. He actually threw Declan under the bus. Go back and watch the interview, and he said, when a player asks to come off, what am I meant to do? Or whatever. Because apparently Declan asked to come off or something along those lines. That shouldn't be any of our business. A proper manager just says, I made the change, move on, and address it with Declan afterwards. To me, that shows a sign of weakness, and it shows a sign of fragility, and it shows a sign of stress that things aren't going the way you want them to go, because a few cracks forming. So anyone who's paying attention, let's just keep an eye on Arteta's press conferences, because in my opinion, when a bloke's on the way out, that's the first sign. I'm not saying he's on the way out, but I'm saying that there's a very fragile man there when he's talking at a press conference. He threw Declan under the bus, and we'll just see what happens.
I just wanted one more thing on this game. A lot of Arsenal fans came at me when I said Kai Havertz was dog shit. Honestly, I have actually put some money in to get hold of Weghorst to apologise formally that I said Weghorst is the worst footballer I've ever seen in the Premier League. I was wrong. It is Kai Havertz. That guy is absolutely bobbins. Absolutely bobbins. It's not often I look at a player and go, glad we didn't sign him, because that's a United signing written all over it, and thank fuck we haven't got him. But we move on to the sexiest team in the land, Pom's favourite team to watch, aside from his own. When I say my favourite team to watch, I don't enjoy watching my team. But 3-1 Brighton back to their best. Mitoma as well. This kid here just understated, I feel, how good he is. Come from nowhere. And he is absolutely tearing the Premier League. And this game here, he did what he wanted when he wanted. Unlucky not to have a hat-trick, but Brighton, Deserby for me, best manager in the Premier League on form bar Pep.
Yeah, he's killing it. And Brighton, what more can you say? How many more weeks do we need to sit here and talk about how great they are to watch? I will say it was the goal they conceded was quite funny. That pretty piss poor at the back, but Brighton, they're just going from strength to strength. They'll have another window in January. They're the best run club in the world, in my opinion. Absolutely, they're a realistic chance for top 4 or 5. Absolutely. In fact, I'd go as far as saying you'd have to say they're almost favourites for one of those spots, to be honest, because they're just so great to watch. And again, I keep saying this, horrible place to go. And look, actually, someone did pull me up on this. So when I say horrible place to go, I don't mean it's a shithole. What I mean is as a fan or a player, it's a horrible place to go. Like the Amex, it is just a tough place to visit. They're going to make it very, very hard for a lot of teams there. And yeah, I rate them, and I don't know how much more we can say about them. Like they're just going to go from strength to strength. They'll probably find someone else in January that they're just going to pull out their ass and you're going to hang on a minute and be linked to Chelsea for 200 million in next summer. It's just wild.
Mitoma's got Chelsea 150 million written all over him in January. Let's be honest. But Chris nails it. Best run club, like you said, Fazz. Oh. You know, if Mitoma, heaven forbid, leaves in January, right? You know they'll find him. They find the next Mitoma. Yeah. They probably already know who the next Mitoma is.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. They're playing real world football manager where you can just find some random in the Portuguese league who ends up being a 4.5 star or whatever. They're just doing that in real life. It's wild.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Lockie Jack's gone with Liverpool to win the league. West Ham second. Man City 3rd, Arsenal 4th, Brighton 5th. Fuck. I don't know what's worse there. Liverpool fans' reactions or Fazz's reaction if you finish runner-up and had Champions League football. Fuck me. That could be it. But talking about Champions League football, Chelsea. Fuck me. I'm going to actually be the first to say it. I expected this from Chelsea. But I am actually now getting Leeds feelings about Chelsea, where it was funny at first. Now it's actually depressing. It's actually vomit town. What is going on? It's going from bad to worse. And this is one of them games. I watched this game because I had some vested interest in it with players. Chelsea might have had 10 shots, but only 4 on target. They look shit.
You're telling me this was the only game that cost me, did you? Is that what you're telling me? I will never tip Chelsea again. As God is my witness, I will never tip Chelsea again. Every week I'm kind of just like, they've got to come good. They've got to come good. They've got Poch. They've got this squad. They've got to come. My goodness. You're spot on with what you said about Leeds. It is... Look, I don't think it's got to the stage yet of I feel sorry for them. I've got a lot of memory in the back of my head of Chelsea spanking West Ham, Joe Cole, Frank Lampard. I've got a lot of memories in the bank, so I don't feel sorry for them just yet. But boy, oh boy, they're in bang trouble. They're not getting relegated. Let's be serious. They're not going to get relegated. They can't. There's too many shit. Oh, mate, it'd be hilarious. There's too many shit teams. But surely Chelsea is setting their bar a little bit higher than us saying, no, they won't get relegated. Like, surely. I don't know. I don't know where to go with them. They're like the opposite of Brighton. I don't know what to say about Brighton every week because they're just perfect. I don't know what to say about Chelsea every week because they're just fucking terrible. I watched this game in shock. I'm just like, what is going on?
In that stat.
That can't be true. Is that true?
I'm trying to think.
Oh, mate, I'll have to go back and check it.
I've got to think. I mean, it could be because I think only Nico Jackson scored, so they must have more goals in the back half of the year, Leicester than one.
They haven't scored a goal in the entire month of September. I know that because when they scored in the League Cup, that was their goal of the month. So it probably is true. That is insane. Chris, honestly, I'm going to use that.
Honestly, that they are like, there's something off about them. And what I mean is, like, you watch them play, they've got no sponsor on the front of the shirt. It looks like a fucking Sunday League team paid their subs, right?
Mm.
You go out and watch them. It looks like there's 11 men out there with 12 different fucking game plans. Enzo Fernandez is somehow worth 100 million, hasn't got a Scooby how to track back, right? Then you've got that other clown, Casiedo, who looks like he's got lost on his route to fucking Liverpool, and he just happens to wear a blue shirt. Modric, Arsenal, like, the best bit of transfer window business Arsenal have ever done, and I will say this is above Henry, this is above Vieira, is somehow missing out on Modric, because fuck me, Modric is Baba. Like, I'm looking at that team and I'm thinking, fuck, they need a spine. They need someone to come in there. And I'm watching Fernandez and Casiedo hold that midfield together and say, one of you needs to clatter a player. Get involved. Yeah. And they don't. And their best player for me at the moment is Levi Colwill and Conor Gallagher. And they've got two things in common, right? One, they're English. And two, they weren't in their fucking best 11 at the start of the year. One of them was being sold. Like for me, that says everything that Conor Gallagher is trying his tits off for a fucking club that didn't want him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It shows more about the man. I think they're killing themselves. They're killing themselves. Chilwell, what's he starting on the bench for? He's going to try his ass off. Do they go back? Do they just go back and start playing blokes who just try their ass off? Yeah.
That worried me as well when that report came out. Terry nails it.
True.
That's
true.
This honestly, I'm going to say this now. Football is football, right? It's a European game. Fuck the Americans off. Get rid of them all because they're killing the sport. Glaziers fucking it up. Do you know what I mean? They're underspending from Liverpool. They can get fucked. And this clown here, absolutely destroying. I hate Chelsea, but they're a fucking good, proud club. And they deserve far better than the shit that was coughed up this week. Absolutely terrible. Like, the only thing that's good about being a Man United fan at the moment is you're not Chelsea. That is the only good thing.
That's a good point. That's a good point. It's like I said, I'm not at the stage where I'm sad or feel sorry for them, but it is a sad state of affairs for that football club. The Americans, it's probably only going to get worse, I think, in regards to Chelsea and in regards to Americans getting involved in the sport as well.
Can we not? Come on, look. Yeah, it should be a rule, right? Do you know what I mean? Anyone who says coffee like that shouldn't be allowed a fucking opinion, right? And I'm a man of morals. But we go on to your team, Fazz. Yes. I've got to say this. What excited me about this game, when I take my Man United hat off, is how well Liverpool adapted. We've seen some of the best teams play against you. How they adapted to what you did. Liverpool were willing to get physical, were willing to get their hands dirty. They were willing to grind. And that is, I think Liverpool, this win is a lot better than 3-1 in the grand scheme of things because they showed a desire and a willingness to scrap and be dirty, which, as we know in the Premier League, very important because you play a lot of West Hams. You play more West Hams than you do City and Arsenal. I always think fans get obsessed with you've got to beat Arsenal and City to win the league. Bollocks. Nah. You can lose to them. As long as you beat the other 16 fuckers, you probably win the league, right? And I thought after that goal, my question mark with Liverpool is we've seen it in Champions Leagues. They might get an early goal, but as soon as the tide turns, they haven't got the heart. And I want to shout out 2 players at Liverpool who I thought won them this game. That Spotzalai, right? And McAllister. I thought they got really physical, got really into it against a real dirty West Ham side that was willing to scrap and ultimately managed to outclass them towards the end, which I think is the model to beat West Ham. You get them at the end when they're tired and they've run ragged. Don't push it. Very mature performance from Liverpool.
Yeah, no, you pulled out the 2 players I was going to mention as well. I think what impressed me about Liverpool is they've got both qualities. And you mentioned it before, that dogged fighting performance. The signing of McAllister is a huge signing, in my opinion, for that role alone. And they're always going to have the quality to finish off those chances. The only difference between West Ham and Liverpool, in my opinion, in this game, was West Ham didn't have the quality. At the start of the game, Souček header saved on the line. Antonio had the touch of an elephant. It should have been 2-0 up before Salah even got this penalty. So West Ham made chances. Even Jarrod Bowen, if he scored the goal, he had a header straight to the just lacked that polish that Salah doesn't lack, that Nunez doesn't lack, that they have. So in my opinion, that was really the only difference. That the midfield fought hard against each other. Alvarez and Souček, obviously, bigger bodied players, but having that quality going forward. I'm going to say it. I was going to say it last week, but I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to put it on the record. They're City's biggest threat.
I like that. Mate, you know what I want? I've got 2 things in this game that I took out, right? Let it sink in that they combined McAllister and the other guy, long fucking Hungarian name, right? Cost the same combined as Enzo Fernandez, right? So let that sink in. They have already got 2 players, in my opinion, better suited to the technicality of Premier League football and stronger, cheaper. But the other person I want to give a shout out, I didn't watch this game live. I watched it in the morning. I was fully invested in the North London derby. And Fazz is the only fan in the world, and I'm going to give him full props here. I texted him and said, just seen Salah got a penalty, and Fazz straight away was Stonewall penalty, 100%. Not many fans I know would fucking confess it was a penalty. And I did have a laugh when I watched it back, was like, yeah, fair play. I've denied them ones before as a fan. Well done, Fazz.
Look, you just have to wear it. When it's there, you have to wear it. At the end of the day, if you got Salah's going to go down if you look at him, so you may as well make him earn it. So that's my bit. But yeah, I do. I impressive. Liverpool impressive. I'm not too disheartened by West Ham. I think it's another performance. 3-1 looks gross, but it's another performance that I think they'll be able to hang their hats on and move forward with. I'm still really impressed with a few of their players. But again, I think the biggest statement out of this is, as we stand right now, and it could change, but as we stand right now, Liverpool are City's biggest threat to a title, because I think they've got that even balance of workhorse and quality.
You know what I will say, though? I think 2 things happened for West Ham in this. One, Kudus looks amazing. Look, when he came on, I thought he really changed the game. And if you add a striker to play alongside him, I was like, fuck, they've got quite the force. Is that an Ivan, Tony? We don't know.
I wish.
If it is, I'd say. But, you know, I reckon a lot of the teams, 15th to 6th, were watching that game and going, fuck, do we have the quality to do what Liverpool did? We might have the fight. Can we break them down like that? And I think, like Faz says, the answer is outside the top 4, probably not.
Yeah, and I think this game mirrored very much the West Ham Man City game of the week before. Exactly the same thing, you know, just having that quality in the end, that quality ball. You know, I could be made to look like a fool and wouldn't be the first time, but I think it will take something like that to beat West Ham. I think it is going to take quality players to beat West Ham this season, which is exciting for West Ham fans. But we'll see. We'll see. I think this says a lot more about Liverpool, though. I think they're going to be dangerous, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Keeping hold of Salah was so key.
Mate, it's going to be interesting. Cronker is American. You know what I like about Cronky, though, at Arsenal? He stays out of it. He just writes the check. What he's with are fucking Americans coming over and thinking they have a Scooby-Doo about fucking football. Just write the check. Shut the fuck up. Then we come to the last team, and I watched this game, and then my brain told me it was 1:30 in the morning. Why the fuck are you watching this training exercise? Sheffield United, for a team that has a little bit of heart and fight, all the rumours that Wilder's returning and they're sacking their coach, this looked like a team that was in a little bit of confusion of who their boss is, because Newcastle probably needed this, and they got a gift horse and they took the piss out of the gift horse. They destroyed Sheffield United. They pulled them apart in a way that if you did that to someone in the street, you're probably doing 10 years.
This was hard. This was hard to watch. I 8-0, and was it 8 different goal scorers as well, that's just crazy in itself.
Ravis Rockenhorse blew that.
Mate, that's incredible. It's going to sound really, really odd, this. I think this says more about Sheffield than it does Newcastle. They've just won 8-0. I mean, we should be praising Newcastle till the cows come home. But the reality was, I mean, you saw it on the Newcastle players' faces. I think the last couple of goals, they almost looked like they didn't want to score it. Like, that was just devastating. And I think a result like this, you know what really frustrates me, actually? I did listen to some of the pundits, and they were saying, like, oh, you know, when you're a newly promoted team, you expect a result like this. What the fuck? No, you don't. How do you, what do you mean? You just, we were due an 8-0 loss. What? Like, I couldn't believe it when they said that. I'm like, no way. I mean, to me, this just says they're in bang trouble. And look at some of the historical results of teams getting relegated. Now, I know it's only early in the season, but we do see some of these results, and they do get relegated. So,
you know what this reminded me of, and Chris is nailing it here. The rumors about the coach, that Terry nails it. There's dissension between the board, the coach, and the fan base. This reminded me of that Scott Parker game. Do you remember when he just got battered out of nowhere? And the rumors were he was told that morning that they were looking for someone else. This felt like the players had found out Heckingworth isn't going to be there. And it was like, literally, what's the point of going to work today? Do you know what I mean? It felt like something felt off, and Heckingbottom here, it looked like the players knew, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Chris Wilder in the dugout very soon.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't happen during the week. To be honest, it might be a little bit late now to do it before their next game. But yeah, it did have that feel. But what can you say? I mean, let's give Newcastle a bit of credit. When there's a free meal, you got to take it, and they took it. You know, they could have easily have won this 3-0 and put their feet up, but goal difference could be everything when it comes to getting a European spot.
Mate, if you're halfway through your meal with your wife on your anniversary and she says she wants to go back to the hotel room, it's your duty not to finish the bottle of wine. Do you know what I mean? If you finish it, it's your fucking fault. So, and that's talking from experience. Uncle Pom has been too drunk. So, credit to Newcastle, you're spot on. We've got to give them props. They absolutely killed it. Lockie Plowman could be a good choice for coach, Lockie Jack. Resilience. And he's got it in abundance. But we come on to our subjects this week, right? And if you're an Arsenal fan or a Burnley fan, you probably won't like what I'm saying. You know what? I was watching Ange Postecoglou. I was watching a documentary on him on YouTube from Celtic, and he's talking about his coaching philosophy of how he likes to play the game style, how he likes to keep possession at the back to encourage the modern day forward press. And then he looks to get it to his overlapping wingers or gets it to a holding player and they run off him. Very 90s football, kind of the modern day take of the Fergie way. And then I was watching West Ham cause chaos against Liverpool when being hard to break down. I'm going to say this now, right? We've had, 15 years of this tick-attacker, short passing, possession nonsense. I can't do it anymore, Fazz. I had to watch Burnley have the ball 65% of the time and do fuck all with it against a shit United side. We need more Ange Postecoglou's in the world. When are we going to see the return of what Brighton are doing? Playing that expansive football, coming at teams, not caring if it is. And you know what I feel? I was listening to Ferdinand today and he was talking about Moyes and he was obsessed with what the opposition did. And Man United weren't used to it because Man United's philosophy was we do what we do and they react to us. We play our way and force them. I think there's way too much of that in today's game. And I think that's why the possession-based football exists. It's lazy coaching. It's keeping the ball because the opposition can't score. Gone are the days of David Moyes, tactical, outplaying the team, stopping what you're doing. Every coach now thinks, have the ball 70% of the time. Do fuck all with it. It looks good on the stat sheet. And it's hard to score against. Bring back the long ball, Fazz. I want the long ball, a big oaf of a fucker up top. I want it the old way. I don't like the new way.
It's I couldn't agree. I could not agree more. I've just finished reading Mark Noble's autobiography, and he spoke about when David Moyes came to West Ham and took over the club, and he said it was the first time a manager, like they've always done opposition analysis, but he goes, this man was opposition analysis. He said, even when we were playing against teams from the Danish division who we didn't really care about, we spent a whole day looking at how they played before going to play them. And I think that's in line with what you said. Look, possession, I think, is the most overrated stat in soccer, in football. It has to be. And I'll give it a perfect example. And this comes up in a lot of West Ham chats. I'm a part of a lot of West Ham forums and podcasts and all that to listen to. And this conversation comes up a lot about David Moyes and winning. We beat Brighton 3-2 or something, and we had 20% possession or whatever. Yesterday morning, we played a team called Lincoln, right? Fuck knows where they're in. What division they're in, right? And West Ham dominated, had possession all game. And it was the most boring fucking game of football I've watched. I'm just like, I can't deal with this. Bring back Sam Allardyce. Bring back Andy Carroll up front. Bring back long ball. You know how you win games of football? By scoring goals. That's how you win games of football. I'm so over this ticky-tacky passing bullshit. It gets you nowhere.
Mate, I'm with you. And shout out to Paul Hill, who's donated 5 of you memberships. You are a legend, my friend. But Fazz, it just needs to stop. I don't mind City doing it because they've got talent. But, I draw the line if you haven't got 11 ball-playing players and you're just fucking shit. And I want to know what, Chris, I'm old enough to remember the early 90s where we had still that total football from Cruyff and the long ball. And then you had Fergie, George Graham bringing in a more counter-attacking game style to negate that, where they sat back, defensively strong, playing with wide players. Then Fergie started to dominate football, playing that counter-attacking style. Then Pep came in. Then you had Jose. He was kind of like the alpha George Graham, real rigid back four, really rigid system. Pep then started to try and pry away discipline. And then we've just stopped, Fazz. We've just stopped and gone, okay, having the ball 898 times in a game of football is how we play it. And no one's gone, when do these sides lose? Because genuinely, your Barças, your Real Madrids, your Celtics, your Rangers, who are all copying these styles worldwide, Man City, they lose to shit sides. No offense to West Ham, but they lose to... but they lose to the sides that don't subscribe to that philosophy, who say, you know what, fuck your possession. I'm going to knock it up to a big oaf who's going to flick it onto two quick guys. We're going to score a goal against the run of play, and then we're going to do it again. Someone needs to do it. And that's why I am calling on Ange Postecoglou and fucking Diego Simeone to come to the Premier League and bring back proper football.
Agreed. And Christopher Lang's right. Coaches, they'll start to adapt. I'll be honest, watching West Ham, I actually get more excited when the opposition teams have the ball moving forward, because I know they're one shit pass away from Bowen and Antonio and Kudos absolutely skinning him down the other end. It's actually fascinating. It is so exciting to watch these teams go forward. I mean, the goal West Ham scored against Man City and the goal we scored against Liverpool, I know they lost or whatever, but they're two good teams, was literally that. Them attacking, we've skinned them down the other end with blokes on their counter-attack. That is successful. That is how you're going to succeed in this game. Sam Allardyce is one of the most underrated managers in the history of the game. And I know he failed with Leeds, but he had to go to a Leeds team. We had to completely break their passing habits. I remember reading something, a bit of an extract from one of the players when he got there, and he said, we got to train. He's like, what the fuck are you doing in a Big Sam? What the fuck are you doing? Right? Passing the ball. We don't pass the ball. We get it out of there. Either Rosie or to the head of the striker, and had to break him. He didn't have enough time to actually break their habits, and look where they are now. It can't be dying. It can't be. It needs to come back. It's the best form. I mean, like I said, watching West Ham have possession. Well, we don't have possession players, and I see a lot of people have this debate: sack Moyes and bring in a possession-based manager. We don't have the players. You imagine Souček on the ball? Fuck me dead, mate. Like, it's like Declan Rice. As much as I love Declan Rice, could you imagine Declan Rice passing the ball around fucking all game? No, thank you. Like, no wonder he's struggling, because that's not their game. Their game is to get forward, get the ball, kick it long, get on ahead, and go for it. I'm with you. Could not agree more.
Mate, the last thing I'll say about this is the Lincoln game you played today, right? And you're talking about possession. That is how football used to be played when I was a kid. You would have 90% possession against a shit side who was played in a cup game, and their mantra was set piece, bomb it in, two big guys. If we get 1-0 up, 11 men behind the ball, we get the money for next year, right? And the one thing your coaches were doing was bomb the ball into the box. Creativity went out of it. They weren't coming at you. They were sat at you. It was Beckham on the right, Giggs on the left, deep crosses, get it in 100 times to try and break their resolve and make them chase the game. And then when you open them up, they'd have to come at you to try and fight. And that's when you picked them off. Now it's gone the other way. Now, and Faz, you nailed it earlier. How many coaches lose 2-0 to West Ham away from home, and they go in their stupid Spanish accents, well, we had 66% of the possession. Only one of us wanted to play football. You lost 2-0 because you were fucking about with it.
Yeah. Yeah. We created chances, and no, you didn't, because you were just passing the ball around. You're spot on. And I think, with those, that counter attack in that, there's no coincidence that those teams very rarely win 1-0. It's usually because once you get one, the other team, we just can't sit back now. We've got to move forward. And then that opens even more space. I always say, West Ham and teams like that, and Brighton and all that, and Tottenham now, they're at their most dangerous when they're 1-0 up. When they go 1-0 up or a goal up, that's when they're at their most dangerous because the other team then has to spread their field. And all of a sudden, you know, I'm not a betting man myself, but if you see a Tottenham game and they go 1-0 up, you get some money on them to win 2, 3, or even put 4 in, which we've seen them do it before because that's what happens with this style of play.
Fazz, mate, I'm with you. I can't see it anymore. It's killing me. Like, I appreciate that there might be some younger people in the audience who are like, but Pom, this is what it is now. It never used to be, Fazz. Fazz, it used to be beautiful, this game. This game used to be about goals and fucking creating chances. And I'm telling you now, Pep has killed football. Pep, you're solely responsible for ruining football.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Pep. Oh, fuck.
Right, well, I feel better now. I've finally become my old man saying it was better in my day. Fazz, talk to me. Cup competitions.
Yes. No, look, I thought I'd just bring this on the agenda now that European football's back on, and now we've just had the Carabao Cup on, and more so just looking at teams and well, first of all, where you rank the cups of importance. Obviously, the Premier League, you know, you want to win your league, Champions League. I think any of the 3 European comps are probably, you know, Champions League and then Europa, then Conference. Then you're probably going FA Cup, and then you're looking at the League Cup. That's probably the order, in my opinion. If anyone disagrees, you know, jump in. And it's about teams like prioritizing which ones they want to win. And it really hit me when, you know, Man City got knocked out of the Carabao Cup. And I thought about them. It's like, obviously, you know, in the FIFA world and the Football Manager world, you want to do not the treble or you want to do the sextuple or whatever they call it now. You want to win every trophy, right? Not possible, not feasible, will never happen. No one's going to give 2 squirts a piss if Man City win the Carabao Cup or lose the Carabao Cup, right? No one cares. But imagine if a Fulham won the Carabao Cup. Right? One, it gets you a ticket into Europe next year. But they lifted a trophy. And I can speak from recent personal experience when West Ham lifted the European Conference League trophy. Everyone, Mickey Mouse comp. You can get fucked. Lifting a trophy. How many trophies has your team lifted in the last, you know, however many years? And I think that's... So talking about these teams, you've got your Man City's, Arsenal, Liverpool, who are probably... not, you know, if they win the League Cup, whatever, you know, they've got to have their sights set on whatever European comp they're in and the Premier League. They're the 2 big trophies for them. And I'm starting to think that we're going to see a change where the FA Cup and League Cup might actually be contested hotly by a few of these middle-range teams, your Brightons, your West Hams, Fulhams, Villas and all that. Yeah, obviously Arsenal and all that will still be in it. But I think if I were an Arsenal fan, and it's just purely Arsenal, right? I'm not talking about West Ham. As a West Ham fan, if we won the Carabao Cup, I'd be just as stoked as winning the European Cup because we don't win trophies, right? Arsenal sold the dream that they want to win trophies. If they win the League Cup, the Carabao Cup, and that's the only trophy they win this year, is that really that big of a deal? They got the Community Shield. Who cares? Teams like Arsenal need to have their focus on Europe and the Premier League. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on teams, you know, looking at the Premier League, where should teams rank and where should they put these trophies on that pedestal?
Mate, I think you nailed it. And you've got Terry here. I remember this well, right? I remember Sheffield Wednesday's cup runs. You made an FA Cup final, didn't you? Was it the year after as well? Like you got all the... It was the year after you were the runners-up at both. I think you played us in the League Cup. But I think titles are important, obviously, number one. But I think the magic's dying out of the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. I really do. And I think it's because teams are focusing less and less. When I was a kid in the 90s, Man United wanted to win the League Cup, the FA Cup, and then whatever European trophy was there. It was the distinguished. And then as we've got older, the Carabao Cup now is that B-grade trophy, isn't it? But that's why I think they've done it wrong. I would love to see the Champions League we lose a place in the Champions League in the league and affiliate it with the cups, right?
Yep.
Affiliate it with the cups. 2 reasons. One, if United, City, whoever's in the European Champions League, it goes to the runner-up. But it gives an incentive for the lesser teams to go in there. Can you imagine a Champions League day at West Ham? But, I mean, I think in the ratings, it is League, FA Cup, League Cup. I think it has to be. And obviously, if you are in Europe, that will be in somewhere between Premier League and that, because only a few clubs are in Europe. But I'm with you, mate. I don't think we get enough coverage, especially in this country. I've noticed the FA Cup should be on Optus. It shouldn't be on a different fucking thing. And the Carabao Cup should be on the same thing, because these are bread and butter. Like, I look at the Carabao Cup ties coming up. There's some fucking rippers. City, West Ham versus Arsenal, Everton, Burnley. You just mentioned that. That's huge for them 2 teams, right?
And I think this is the point I was making. Yeah, this is the point I was making. I mean, like, no one should be in any position to, as I say, yuck someone's yum, as they say. That's a bit of a school lingo. No one should be in a position to say, "Oh, that cup's not worth it," or "That cup's not this." But the reality is, we're a team is the Carabao Cup to Man City is probably worth nothing, right? But a Carabao Cup to a Fulham or to a Brighton or an Everton, a West Ham, that'd be huge. And I know people do take the piss and all that. Thankfully Terry's here and he's speaking about being a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I know people take the piss out of my celebration for West Ham, but lifting that European trophy, I mean, I got a tattoo of it on me. Like, that's how big it is, and that's how special it is. Because for a West Ham, I may never in my life see West Ham lift another cup. But if you're Arsenal or City or United or Liverpool, or you'll lift cups. You'll see cups. It might be a league cup that you don't care about, or it might be a Premier League. You'll lift those cups. West Ham may never lift another cup in my lifetime. So it's something to celebrate. Just like if a Fulham were to win the League Cup, it might be the only cup they win in some people's lifetime. So I think it's sometimes important that we don't discredit these competitions just because you go for a big 6 club or whatever. Like, these competitions mean things to people. I was up watching West Ham versus Lincoln, for fuck's sake, because I want to win this cup. After the euphoria of winning the European Cup, I want to win this cup. I want to win the FA Cup. I want to win the Europa League. I want to win every cup you're in. Because if you're not in it to win trophies, then why the fuck are you watching? Like, why are you even playing the sport? Like, isn't that what it's about? Like,
mate, I'm old like you and Terry. I still enjoy the Carabao Cup. I still remember the Coca-Cola Cup days. I remember Chris Waddle and fucking Carlton Palmer, Mark Bright, David Hurst in that 93 Cup run. I remember it because there was always teams as well when I was a kid, like Aston Villa getting there as well the next year. That was the game I was thinking about that United lost to. It was them teams. There was always a cup run from a team outside fighting for the title because they didn't have the depth to continue fighting for the title. Yeah. So, and that's what I look at the draw this year, Fazz. Yeah. That Everton-Burnley game, you are in literally the final 8. You are, and they are having a turgid year. Whoever wins that has a chance at a cup competition.
Mate, and that's what it's all about. I remember a few seasons ago, it was at Bradford City or Stevenage. Stevenage got a reputation there for being the giant killers. Bradford made it to Wembley, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they played at Wembley.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness. Like, this is what it's all about. Like, I keep calling it the League Cup because it changes its name, but I always remember as the Coca-Cola Cup personally.
Yeah, I still call it the Coca-Cola Cup.
Yeah, Carabao just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. But I just think, the cup comps and ranking them, obviously, like I said, your Man Cities and Arsenals, they're probably not going to care about the Carabao Cup. And personally, I fucking hope when West Ham play Arsenal that Arsenal don't care about the cup because I care about it. I want to win the bloody thing. I want to get another trophy next to this bad boy I've got on my leg. Just another get that sexy little trophy there right next to it. Mate, that's what it's about.
You know what? I said that Pep ruined football, right?
Yeah.
Apologies to Amy and the Arsenal fans. Wenger ruined the League fucking Cup. playing the under-19s and taking the piss out of the cup competition. And then everyone started doing it. United started doing it. Chelsea started doing it. Bring back the days that the 11 best players played on Saturday and then they fucked off to Chesterfield on a Tuesday and played in the fucking League Cup. The old days. Bring it back.
Seeing Mohamed Kudus, who's just like a record signing from Ajax, playing Champions League football, seeing him line up at Lincoln with the hurricane that's going on over there, mate. The poor bloke looked like he'd rather be anywhere else in the world.
Mate, God, do you remember, mate? Honestly, I do remember it. I am joking. Obviously, Wenger is a legend. Even as an Arsenal, a Man United fan, I can say it, but. He did used to play like the kids. I remember Fabregas playing as like a 17-year-old against like Exeter Town and probably thinking, the fuck's this about? But something's gone. I think Terry nails it. Like, I remember the best day of my life, good mate of mine, girl I knocked around with at school, her dad owned Scarborough Football Club. We managed to get through to the third round of the FA Cup. Chelsea came. Mate, the town stood still. It was like the biggest. It was like the Queen had fucking come to town. Do you know what I mean? I remember them pressure washing the town square of like fucking heroin needles and shit. Hadn't been cleaned since the war. But Chelsea were coming to town. Chelsea, Abramovich's Chelsea. And then magical moments stay with me as an adult, right? As an adult, because I remember big club coming to a tiny club in the cup. And some of these people out there won't have this opportunity. When you support a shit club, Fazz knows what it's like. Seeing these superstars could change lives because they're used to seeing them on the telly. That away, that home fixture against a top club means everything. And I think there's a magic in the cup because top teams are bringing their reserves. You want to see Kevin De Bruyne going against the postman in the midfield. You want to see that.
Yeah, that's and it's a chance to have legacy, you know. And I think that's people might disagree with the statement. It's probably the statement I'm about to make is probably wrong now, anyway, given the money. But first and foremost, football is the working class game. It always has been, and it always should be. And I think you're right. There is something magical about some poor bastard working 9 to 5 in a bakery or whatever, and then lining up against Kevin De Bruyne in a cup game. I mean, that's wild.
Mate, we all remember. Do you remember the goalkeeper of that non-league team eating a pie on the bench?
Oh, mate, he got fined for that, I'm pretty sure, actually.
Mate, that's the shit I want. I want to see shit like that. Like, I remember in the UK on BBC, because they have the FA Cup rights, whenever there was a non-league team playing the Premier League team in the Cup, they'd do a documentary that week, and you'd find out that their top striker, who scored 48 goals and he's now an icon of the club. You didn't know who the fuck he was. But he worked like 3 jobs, had 8 kids. Like, he had to travel 2 years for training every day. And there was something magical. You kind of fell in love with that club and were like, oh, I hope they win this weekend. That'd be sick.
And you see it, and you see that the clubs, they're hundreds of years old as well. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I watched that, and yes, it was a glorified American pomp watching that Welcome to Wrexham that they had, that doco or whatever. Yeah. Yes, he did. That was so funny. And that is so funny. The Welcome to Wrexham, yes, it was, like I said, an American pomp show, but you did get to actually know the players, and you got this relationship with these players from a non-league club that I ended up following, like watching and seeing how they're going. And that's what the magic of is when you see those, it was, yes, Canadian, but the show was produced by Americans. So,
but never forget, Canadians, Americans, same animal.
Yeah. The show was produced by Disney. So if that tells you anything, yeah. Anyway, so but that magical, you know, understanding of seeing these clubs that it's the lifeblood of the town, and seeing what it used to be like. You know, I harp on. I read Mark Noble's book, and he spoke about, you know, coming from his family, and they wouldn't eat for a couple of days because it meant saving money to get tickets to go to Upton Park on the weekend. That's what football's about, and that's what the cups are about. That's why it's so special. And I think long may it continue. And if the bigger teams want to take the piss and rest their players, so be it. Whatever. I just hope that we see a West Ham or a Fulham or an Everton or someone lifting these cups.
I'm with you, and I'm with Red Pill. I want more big clubs away. Because it was the FA, your version. That is the only time, caveat, apart from the national team, the only time I'll drag myself to watch A-League is when you have your Australian FA Cup.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's something magical about some of them scenes when they're playing in like what looks like some guy's back garden and they score a late equaliser. Because your team, Melbourne City, when they scored that penalty, that place erupted. There was like 28 people there, but you could really feel how much that goal meant. And they're magical moments that can't be replicated in league football.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like I said, you said before, when you got the postie coming up against an Australian international who scored in a World Cup, it's special.
Mate, it's what you want. I mean, that guy will be a hero for the rest of his life at his local TAB. Mate,
they tell the
bring
stories.
It back. I actually think we need more cup football, less league, because I am an absolute whore for cup football. I love cup football. It's the best.
Do or die. No tomorrow football is so good.
Oh, mate, it's the best. But we come to the tips where we've got an extra game this week because it's a double week for Luton Burnley.
Yes.
So people get a chance to be bored twice this week. But we start with Audi Chelsea. How have Aston Villa got away with copying Chelsea's badge and changing the colours and which way the lion faces? Against Brighton, Fazz, you're going comfortable win. I'm going comfortable win.
Yeah. And we'll say the same thing next week. Don't know what to say about Brighton. They just get the job done.
I can't wait to watch this game. I'm glad this is the first cab off the rank this week. Yeah. And then we've got Amy's team, the mighty Arsenal. They go to a tough away fixture to Bournemouth. I have a lot of previous with Bournemouth. Lovely area of the world, but we've both gone 2-0. Can Bournemouth do it?
Look, I think they could snag a goal, but we spoke earlier about teams just having that quality, and I think Arsenal just have that quality to just finish them off.
Mate, I'm with you. I'm with you. We've got up next Everton versus Luton. This is one of them games, you know, that I know I'm going to say now, like Mrs. Pom will look at the calendar where I've got all the games and she'll be like, no way he fucking watches this game. But I know I will be watching it, right? I will be. Midnight is the Bournemouth game, spot on. And this is also at midnight. Everton, Luton. I've gone draw. You've gone Everton win.
I just like what Dyche has done the last two games. I think this is going to be one of the worst games of football you will ever see in your life. And it's going to be a filthy, I'm going to say Tarkowski or Calvert-Lewin corner header, 1-0, and they will just sit on it. That goal could be scored in the first minute or be scored in the 90th minute. I don't care. It'll be scored and Everton will just sit back on it.
Hey, it's going to be an interesting one. Chris is going 1-1. How does Midnight Sunday work? We're in spring, so the clock goes forward, doesn't it? Spring forward, fall back. I believe the times are as it was, midnight. So it will be Sunday, the 1st of October at midnight.
There is an app. I think the app, to answer your question, I think the app already has it changed.
Yeah. It changes. Because the clocks still go forward, don't they, Sunday?
Yeah.
Spring forward, fall back.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah. So it'll be, yeah. So anyway, if not, just set your alarm if you're going to sleep or whatever. Set your alarm for an hour early, just in case.
Hey, do you know what I mean? Fred Bloggs gets it. Crisps and a pint. You can't beat it. And a crisp and a pint. Man United host Crystal Palace at the same time. Fazz literally backing in United. And Pom going, this has got 1-1 written all over it. Fazz convinced me.
They didn't let me down last week. I thought,
okay,
got to strike while the iron's hot with no confidence whatsoever. 2-1, Old Trafford. I love what Palace are doing. I'm more inclined to think you're probably closer to the right one, but when I'm on a heater, I'm on a heater, and United looked after me last week, so I'm going again.
I can't wait to analyse this 3-0 loss. Newcastle versus Burnley. Fazz is fucking 13 goals in a week for Newcastle. Fazz is predicting. I went a bit more modest. I know Gordon's got a bit of an injury, so I think they might nurse it, but I'm with Fazz. I think this will be cruise control, and if they're going to rest players, rest it this week, because Burnley will just do kick-ups in the middle of the fucking ground.
Yeah. You score one, it's game over.
But Faz's team, we've gone in. Fazz is going 3-0. I'm going 2-0. I think, I actually reckon you and me could pick 9 people from the audience and we beat Sheffield United at the minute.
Yeah, look, and I'm always always worried about a man or a person who's got nothing left, and what do they say? The two guys in a fight, one person willing to die is the person going to win it. So I am worried about Sheffield. They are down. Will they have a bit of bite about them? I'm not sure. 3-0. Surely West Ham get the job done. It's become a bit of a fortress, the London Stadium. So good luck to him,
mate. When you get down there and they're blowing bubbles, you're fucked, I tell you. But then we come to City. They have, I want to say, a tough away trip to Molineux, but that's a fucking lie. This should be cruise control, shouldn't it, for City?
Yeah, it won't get out of second gear. They'll win 4-0 and not get out of second gear.
This is another one where me and Fazz disagreed. We've gone Spurs versus Liverpool. And even though I have praised the arse of Ange and Spurs, I've turned on him. I just think Liverpool, they've impressed me, if I'm honest, more than Spurs. I think they can handle that Saar Bissouma heat.
You surprised me with this one. Look, I agree with you. To be honest, outside of City, I always use City as the outlier. So pretty much any statement I make, just leave City out of it. These two have probably been the two most impressive sides this season. I've really enjoyed what they've done. I couldn't split them for purely that reason. I think Spurs are playing with that belief, that absolute belief that that they haven't seen them have. What I will say though is if Liverpool get the 3 points here, it's game on. It is game on. They are going to be very dangerous for the rest of the season because it's a tough game, tough place to go, and Spurs are playing good football, and we know Liverpool can be suspect at the back at times. So I think it's got goals in it.
I think Ange will be open, and I think that could be his detriment. That was my theory. I just feel against West Ham, Liverpool was so impressive, and I thought Arsenal got cooked by them big midfielders being bullies. I don't think Liverpool will, so I just think the class comes into it. But I do hope Spurs win it because my hatred of Liverpool is second to none. But then we've got Forest, and even though me and Fazz have slated Brentford, I wanted to tip 1-0 Forest, but I just thought Brentford are worth another tip.
Yeah, this is going to be my last, Brentford's last tip on reputation, I think. And after this, if Brentford fuck me up here, I'll start looking a bit more closely. I'm tipping them on reputation here. I still think they've got a lot to offer. Forest, they're an enigma. I can't pick them, to be honest. I've got no idea about them. So I've just gone the 1-2. But if Brentford lose this, my tips could look very different next week, as you'll see next game.
I was going to say, and Fazz, when he jumps off, I'm going with a conservative 1-0 Fulham masterclass at Craven Cottage. Fazz has lost it. He has tipped all the goals he didn't tip Chelsea to have in this game against. So 50-0 Fazz.
Let this be a lesson. You burned me. You burned me once. All right. Okay, I'll wear it. You burned me twice. Oh, burn me 3 fucking times and you're dead to me. All right. Chelsea, fuck you. All right. 15-0. I hope you get fucked.
That's
really not a typo. That I said that to Palmer. I said 50. Fuck him. I don't care. I don't care about Chelsea. I'll never tip him again. I'm never tipping him again.
I hope next week we are analysing a 15-0 destruction at Fulham.
Oh, right. I don't. If people can't remember, go back and watch last week. I am so upset with Chelsea. A man is only as good as his reputation, yeah? And they have killed me because week after week after week, I'm like, they'll come good. They'll come good. They'll come good. You know, get fucked, Chelsea. 15-0. And you're lucky I only stopped at 15.
Joe, mate. Fucking Chelsea EPL's counting. Fuck. Fuck. I think they're 28 count at the moment. Fazz holds grudges like a king. And two teams that, like, this game here, like, you know what? When I found out we had to tip this game, I wanted to put, like, I just don't care. So this is how my tip was formulated, right? I actually chucked my dog 2 different treats and said, if you eat the left-hand side, that's the goal column for Luton. The right-hand side is that. And he ate 2 treats from the right-hand side. So this tip is the dog, because that is how much I care about. Fazz and me, they'll agree. And the dog. Burnley are going to beat Luton. Could they, though? They cannot. You know what? I might disagree with my dog here because Luton are actually going to have a shot on target.
Yes. Yes. Look, this one's a tough one. I just think the Burnley might have a little bit more quality. I know we hate the way they play that tiki-taka football, but they might just have too much quality to get this done. But at home, can Luton be compact? Can they be tight? I can see them getting a goal on the break. And I'll be honest, if Luton go 1-0 up, I think the Burnley fans, the few that get to go, I think they'll turn on their team very quickly, very, very quickly. And that's a very lonely place to be. That's a good shout. Nil all with Burnley 80% possession. That's a very lonely place to be. Mate, tough game to pick. I'm going for Luton. I tipped Burnley, but I will be like hoping Luton win.
It'll be an interesting one. I'll bring him in at one point for you, Dr. Doof. Has a 0-0 written all over it. It does, doesn't it? I mean, this has Vincent Kompany doing the famous press conference of, we created so many chances. We had 80% of possession. We were the only team that wanted to play football. And he gets sacked the day after. Much to a plum. You know what annoys me about possession football as well? People like Kompany. He's only fucking playing that way because he wants a top 4 job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you always, as a fan, even the players, I mean, people aren't stupid. When he comes in and he's literally using your club as a stepping stone, that's disrespectful, in my opinion.
Just so you know, there is a Chelsea fan. There is a Chelsea fan out there somewhere in a forum going, won't mind Kompany. Look at the way Burnley play. Beautiful football.
Oh, absolutely. You should get Ari on one day.
On that quality drive-by. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. You're all legends. We'll be back next week. Enjoy your ridiculously long holiday in Australia. We get a long weekend for football. Who fucking knew? So enjoy that, everyone. Much love. We'll see you next week.
Love your work. See ya.